Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll discuss to you on how to add delete functionality of our CRUD application. So let's start. We'll be adding a delete button at the right side of the name of the student. Okay, so to do that, we're going to add inside of the Ion item. We'll be adding the Ion component, Ion button component, Ion button / Ion button. Okay, inside of the Ion button, we'll be adding the Ion icon / Ion icon, and then the icon that we're going to use is the trash icon. Trash. So we need to define the trash icon to our Ionicons. Trash. And then in our setup, we'll also add the trash icon. Okay, so let's save that. And then we need to check the output. Okay, so let's just wait. The application is being compiled. Now let's check the output. Okay, so we have an output that looks like this one. Okay, so we have the delete icon here. So you can change the color of the button. Let's say, for example, instead of blue, we'll be changing that into color is equal to danger. Okay, so danger. Okay, so we're able to save or compile the application. So now we have this kind of button, a red one. Now we're going to add a click event of this button. So once the user click this button, it will delete this item. Okay, so we have here the Ion button. So we're going to add a event, which is the click event, is equal to delete record, open close. Then we need to use the ID as our basis on deleting the record. So then that ID. But the problem is we need to check first the source code of the API, because what I can remember, we didn't extract. We didn't extract the value for the ID, or we didn't retrieve. So we only specified two field, which is the name and address. Now we're going to add the ID, because that will be our basis in deleting the record. So ID, and then the key is ID also. Then we go to the source code, so that will be available, the ID, since we defined it already in our API. Now we're going to define this method. Okay, so after the load students, we'll be defining another okay, so there will be a difference of this the presentation, and we'll be defining that ID as let's say the data type will be any. Okay, let's try to display that alert ID. Just for example, or we'll just test if we're able to extract the value of the ID using the alert. But later on, we'll be adding the Axios statement here that will trigger the statement that will delete the record. So alert ID. Let's try to click the button delete for Andres Bonifacio. So 75, Bruce Wayne 79. So we're getting the value of the ID of each record. Okay, 78. So now what we are going to do is we're going to add the source code of this. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is copy the Axios here, and then paste. But in here we'll be changing the statement. Let's say delete.php, and then in here we'll be adding the params colon, and then the key is ID, let's say, and then ID. So we are adding a parameter on our API, which is the delete.php. Now after that, okay, we'll be passing the ID as our basis. What will be the record that we are going to delete? So we're going to create the API or the PHP file for this API. So we have the add record, or we have the add record here. We'll just copy, or we'll just make a copy of this, and then let's save that as delete.php. So in here we'll be removing the address, and we'll be changing that into ID. Then instead of insert into, delete from tbl student, where ID is equal to ID. So we're going to bind this variable, and for the ID, the value will be ID also. Okay, ID. Then we'll just remove that. Then okay, so we're going to execute that statement. Then if it's success, then I'm going to display the message success. So later on we'll be adding a simple validation here if this transaction is successful, but for the meantime we'll just use this statement. Okay, a simple statement. So on our PHP, we're gonna check the response. So if response.data.message is equal to success, then okay, so we're going to load the record. Okay, save. Okay, so just refresh or reload our application just to make it sure that the changes that we made is applied to our project. So let's try to click this button. So network error, so we have a problem with the code. I think we have the problem. Let's check the source code if we're able to define the, or we're able to incorporate the ion button here. Also, we're not able to implement the ion button. Okay, we need to define that because we use the ion button. So again, let's try that again. Okay, refresh. Then delete. So still network error. So to check the possible error, we'll just display the message first. Comment. Maybe there's a specific problem. Okay, alert. The message. Okay, so we're able to refresh our source code. Let's try to reload just to make it safe. Then delete. Still network error. Okay. Axios.pos http localhost CRUD app delete.php params id id. Let's try to display exit id. Okay. Okay, so I found out the problem. The problems is we forgot to add another parameters, which is the URL, null, and the parameter ID. Okay, so we forgot to add this one. So now let's check the output. We're going to display the ID of the record. So let's try that. So we're able to display the ID 79. Now we're going to return our statements. Okay, just remove the comment, and then on our API we're going to remove that, and then let's try that again. So to make it sure, just reload the application. So we're going to delete that. So we're able to delete. As you can see, underscore remote is no longer on our list. So even John Cena, for example. So we're able to delete our record. So that's all. Thank you for watching. See you on our next videos.